Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, the motion picture you're about to see contains scenes so terrifying, the public must be given grave warning.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. I am your host, Sewer Dweller, and joining me again this week, we have Friday. How's it going, Friday? And we're happy for you to be here. Just to give everybody a heads up, it's going to be a little bit of a different show this week. We are still going to do Igor and the Lunatics, but we're going to do it a little bit different. For those who don't follow me on social media, kind of had an accident this morning. Letting my wife out of the driveway, walking back into the house, I slipped on a patch of black ice, fell against the door, shed door, and dislocated my finger. As such, it was very, very hard to type anything today. My hand, it's been about 8 hours. I probably about 8-9 hours since they reset it, and my hand is still a little bit numb from the injection they gave me to numb it, so they could set it without pain. It really, surprisingly, no pain. That stuff works. But we're gonna do it a little bit different when we get to the movie. We'll talk about that when we get there. But Friday, how was your Friday going?
Pretty good. We kicked coding class in the butt, and we got that done. And my kid's happier for it.
That is always a positive.
Oh yeah. I think we've just had a good day together.
Well, that's good. That's great. I'm happy for you guys. But guys, as usual on the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast, our first order of business, haunt industry. Somebody blowing their horn outside. I hope you guys didn't hear that. Our first order of business, horror movie news and haunt industry news. And per Pyle, because he didn't like it on Wednesday when I was doing the interview, I have essentially fixed my beeping smoke alarm problem. So hopefully, yes. Pyle made it a point to point out that it's distracting. So it should be taken care of now. So as I was saying, we are getting ready to go do we have a little bit of haunt industry news today. It's nothing like major because again, this is the time of year where the haunts are kind of in hibernation. the managers and the builders and everything. They go into hibernation this time of year because there's just really nothing out there unless you're going to do like your holiday haunts, like your like for Valentine's or anything. So usually around April, May, June is when everybody starts the planning phase and then starts the building phase. So yeah, there's still a little bit. There's still like I guess there's still not much news, but there's a couple of things that came out this week. I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be a wing it news section especially when it gets to the horror movies because I have not had time today to sit down and pull a bunch of stories out. So we'll see. We're gonna wing it today, which honestly to me becomes some of the better shows.
Always fun.
So our first story comes out of Salem. What in the world? Yeah, I should have looked at this story first. Okay, yeah, there it is. Yeah, for some reason, the story is here, but for some reason, it has something to do. The first line of the story that has nothing to do with any of this was about Jimmy Carter's funeral. So basically, everybody knows what happened on New Year's Eve in New Orleans. Some idiot. I think they are saying it's a terrorist attack at this point. Drove through a bunch of people on Bourbon Street in New Orleans and killed. I think it was 15, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Well, so Salem, Massachusetts has decided to basically start planning ahead just in case someone tries that, basically. In the wake of deadly New Year's truck attack in New Orleans, Salem, Massachusetts officials announced new potential safety measures for their annual Halloween festivities. They are accelerating plans to install new retractable bollards and mobile barricades to block off vehicles from selected streets, enacting stricter enforcement of road closures, and bringing in an outside set of eyes to review current safety protocols. Additional police presence during the haunted happenings is also being considered, as crowds grow as large as 10,000 people on some October days. The road closures and extra safety measures are likely to cause increased traffic congestion on open roads. Still, Mayor Dominic Pangelo said it's an inconvenience that people are going to have to just live with because safety is the priority concern. So yeah, I mean, I'm not against that. Anything to make people safe. Like it just shocks me with the way the world is that New Orleans already didn't have anything like this in place. Just not because of like terrorists or anything like that, but people are crazy right now. What is it? It was less than 5 years ago where somebody where that guy drove a pickup truck through the Waukesha parade. I think it was a Christmas parade, and that dude was just crazy.
Yeah. And locally, we had somebody drive their truck into a bar.
Yeah, seems legit. I mean, go on YouTube. If you see these these videos out there, people getting into fights and then getting in their car and like trying to run each other over, ramming their cars into each other like it's a fucking demolition derby at the gas station. Like it's stupid out there right now.
Extremely.
So I'm not against. Like I said, that's why it just shocked me that they didn't do like New Orleans didn't do that before. Like I go to like I said on Wednesday, I go to DC. I used to go to DC a lot, and every single one of those government buildings have those parking things that come out of the ground that they're talking about installing everywhere. We have them here. We have the Oregon District, which is when Dayton had their shooting. That's where it happened. But we do this thing here in Dayton. The Oregon District is kind of like our big bar, like kind of like bar area. There's adult bookstores there too, so don't take your kids. But it's a bunch of bars and restaurants and things like that. And they do this thing once a month on the first during the summer, during the spring, summer, and I think the first month or so of fall, basically till it starts getting cold. They do this thing where they shut down 5th Street in the Oregon district every week, or once a month. And so people can walk around, they can drink outside. Like you can buy a beer at one bar and just walk up and down the street with it, as long as you don't leave that area. And they have those. They don't come out of the ground, though. They have to install them every month. But it's still something there, to stop anybody who's wants to be stupid from doing something stupid.
And that's a good thing.
That it is. So yeah, that's going to be happening. So if you're planning on going to Salem for October and the Halloween festivities they usually have going on there, be prepared to be in traffic because they are going to protect people. So moving on to our next story, we are going to Niagara Falls, New York. Have you ever been there, Jenny? Or Friday? I'm sorry.
Hey, it doesn't matter which one you call me. Niagara Falls? I don't think so. I've been to New York. I just don't know if I've been to Niagara Falls.
I went when I was younger because I do have my that's where my father was born and raised. So I do have family up there. I always tell people that if you're going to Niagara Falls, and you want to do more than just, if you want to do nature stuff, stay on the American side. If you want to do the touristy, entertaining stuff, basically have something to do, you have to go to the Canadian side. Because the American side, there's really nothing to do except for you could walk through like the cave where you're like walking underneath the falls. You can do the Maid of the Mist, but both sides have like their own boats that'll take you underneath the falls, or up close to the falls, really. And there's like a bunch of nature trails on the American side. On the Canadian side, it's almost like Canadian Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge and Canadian what is this? That city in Missouri, Branson. To where it's a bunch of like touristy stuff, like restaurants and museums and things. Well, there used to be something called the Haunted House of Wax. I didn't get to go through this because I think when I went, I was like 13, 14 years old, and we had my family with me and everyone. My younger siblings weren't going to go through it, so I didn't get to go through it. But it got closed a few years ago, and now apparently plans are in the works to turn it into a food hall with 5 new dining options. The former Horror Wax Museum operated on the site until 2002 and closed just over a year ago. The $2.5 million renovation would bring a Cinnabon, Auntie Anne's pretzel place, Carvel ice cream at street level, a Subway at ground level, and a Mediterranean food restaurant at the mezzanine level. Work is projected to begin this March and is expected to complete by the busy tourist season in June. So, if you want to go eat at a former haunted house, there you go. You can have your basic mall food. Let's see what we got here. Well, that's an old story. I brought up this story about this expo. Not look at the dates first, and it happened last weekend. So that might be all of the haunt news. Yeah, that's all the haunt industry news we got for this week. But like I said, this time of year, it's really hard to find some. Because like I said, nobody's really started planning yet. Outside of the Valentine's haunts. But I remember talking to you last time, Friday. Only one haunt in Texas was doing a Valentine's haunt. Now we have 3.
Epic.
that are doing Valentine's haunts. We have Delusion Scream Park in Bryan, Texas. They are going to be open on the 15th. You have, excuse me, you have Doc Wilkes House of Horrors in Longview, Texas on the 15th, and Nightmare on 19th Street in Lubbock, Texas on the 14th.
That is awesome. And Bryan is the town where I used to live, where they had, that guy had put the truck through the bar. So, yeah.
Oh, nice.
There's a lot of cool stuff there other than that insanity.
Yeah, we have a Bryan, Ohio, and it's like where they make dum-dums. Like the dum-dum lollipops. And then, because I remember, what's that?
We're known for our college.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the Bryan, it's weird because I didn't know. Apparently, the company that makes dum-dums are the only company out there that makes candy canes. They when we took the tour, they told us that they're the only ones who make like all these candy canes. So if you see your Starburst candy canes, your like regular candy canes and all that stuff, apparently they basically pay the Dum-Dums factory to make them for them.
That is awesome.
It was very interesting. Looking at Virginia though, from where I used to be from, they've actually got a lot more going on. Frightmare in Chesapeake on the 14th and 15th. Spooky Acres Haunted House. I had never even heard of this one. This one had to have opened after I moved away because this is in Norfolk. February 7th through the 9th and the 14th through the 16th. And then Terror at Potomac Manor in King George, that's near D.C., for the 14th and the 15th, and Terror Manor in Roanoke, Virginia, on the 7th, 8th, 14th, and 15th. I think those are the only ones I see that are new. They got Hell's Dungeon here for the Ohio, but they got the wrong date. They've only got the 14th, and Hell's Dungeon will be open the 14th and the 15th.
Oh, yeah. You definitely will love both days, guys. You got to go see it.
Especially the 15th. If you get there a little early, you can, or actually best thing to do is go to experiencethedungeon.com right now and register for the murder mystery dinner that they're having on the 15th. You get both the murder mystery dinner and the haunt. So definitely go look at that. So let's go ahead and move on to some horror movie news. I know I feel bad today, but it's just like nothing. Oh, that's new. Apparently, yesterday, this was a day ago, and this is the first time I've seen it. Prolific director David Lynch has died at the age of 78. Let's see. Today, the entertainment world lost another one, David Lynch. He was not only a master of storytelling, but his techniques and artistic style inspired many to pursue Hollywood dreams of their own. Anyone who has seen even one of his films knows that he was a unique visionary who could not only shock you, but just make you feel. Some of the movies that he made, you're talking about Eraserhead, the 1980 drama The Elephant Man, Dune, the original Dune, Blue Velvet, starring Dennis Hopper, Twin Peaks. So many good, cornerstone movies from him. This is like, I guess he passed away yesterday. This is the first time hearing about it.
May rest in peace. A couple of those I've watched about 1 million times a piece.
Yeah, I've always wanted to watch Eraserhead, but I've just never gotten around to it. Everybody says how great that movie is. Speaking of which, too, Bob Uecker, WWE Hall of Famer, Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, Major League Baseball announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers, and of course our favorite baseball announcer from the Major League movies, passed away yesterday as well. I love the Major League movies. They're actually I like all three of them, even Back to Training, Back to the Minors. So rest in peace, Bob Uecker. Rest in peace, David Lynch. So we got one more coming, apparently.
Amen to both, not the third death.
Yeah. Well, I always believe in the rule of three, and usually when there's celebrity deaths, there's always three.
Yes, and being a CNA and having been part of the nursing home industry for my whole life, actually, we believe in the rule of three too.
That's just that's kind of scary. In all honesty.
Yes, it is, but unfortunately, it's a real thing, and it's a thing that happens a lot.
It is. It sucks. I mean, unfortunately, death is part of living. Unfortunately, there's only one way out of it. But hopefully, everybody gets a long, full life before it gets turned off. But
I hope so.
Nothing on the outside of the David Lynch. Nothing on that one. Excuse me. I don't need to keep clearing my throat. So apparently you can get Terrifier 3's killer theme music now on Spotify, which the only song from there I like is The Work of Art by Ice Nine Kills. That song goes hard. The video was awesome. Just if you watch the video, the Work of Art video, make sure you're not squeamish, because it's about as violent as the movies are.
Good to know.
Here we go. Shudder and Arrow video teaming up for limited edition physical media releases. What do you know about Arrow video, Friday?
Nothing.
Well, when you go, a lot of these companies are popping up. They call them boutique companies, like Arrow Video, Shout Factory. There's a bunch more out there. I just can't think of off the top of my head. Where they go and they buy the rights to older, especially like the older, more obscure movies, and they'll like update them, restore them, and then release them on special editions and that. But you're gonna pay out the ass for them.
I like Shout Factory because it hasn't been that expensive, and I've been able to get a lot of our older cartoons from when we were younger.
Well, Shout Factory also is the one who puts out the Mystery Science Theater collections, which are growing up was one of my favorite things in the world. At least as a teenager, because when I turned into a teenager, I went from watching Saturday morning cartoons to watching Mystery Science Theater first thing in the morning, because they would usually run them. I can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday nights, and then they'd replay the episode first thing the next morning. So I think they ran it on Friday nights. Excuse me. They ran it Friday nights, and then I'd watch the episode Saturday morning, because Friday night I was either watching my horror movies or playing video games or doing something back in the 90s. A couple of years ago, we actually went to Horror Hound, and we actually got to meet the new guy, Jonah. He's the guy who plays. He's the one from the Netflix series.
Okay.
And I will say he is one of the nicest guys. Like every time we passed him, he wanted to pet the ferrets, and we would sit and talk about mysteries, the old episodes of Mystery Science Theater for like at least 20 minutes each time.
That is cool.
Like, just one of the nicest guys in the world. And he actually gave us a globe. It is a 3D printed Mystery Science Theater globe, and he signed it.
Oh,
it is sitting right on my desk right now, actually.
Must share a picture later.
I will share a picture.
Please and thank you.
But yeah, like it was great. And that's why, again, like you said, with Shout Factory, they're the ones who put that out. Plus a lot of the movies on Tubi, a lot of those more obscure ones. Our Shout Factory has their own channel on Tubi. So, yeah, that they help us out a lot. I want to say when I watched Vice Academy, it was from Shout Factory. There's been a few. Oh no, not Vice Academy. Vice Academy I watched on Droma. El Santo, the El Santo movie I watched, was from Shout Factory. They put it out. But Shudder and Arrow Video are teaming up to bring us. Let's say, are uniting to bring several of the streamers' movies to the shelves of physical media fans. So basically, it sounds like Arrow is going to be releasing the Shudder originals. If you don't have Shudder, go get Shudder. Shudder's awesome. Like I think it's less than $10 a month, and you get get some great horror movies. They put out good stuff. You got Joe Bob Briggs on there, The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob, which alone is worth the price. Which is worth the price alone. I love Joe Bob and what he does. Sounds like they're not going to do a Valentine's show this year, which is weird. But so the 8 titles getting limited edition physical release treatment are Ole Bornedal's Night Watch from 1994, which I have not seen that, but I always hear great things about that. I think that's like a Dutch movie. Rob Jabez's The Sadness, Joseph Winter and Vanessa Winter's Deadstream from 2022, Christian Tadruff's, I know I'm butchering these names, Speak No Evil from 2022, Michelle Garza Cuervas or Cervera's Huesera, The Bone Woman, 2022, and The Addams Family's Hellbender from 2021. We also got Night Watch, Demons Are Forever. That's the third installment of the trilogy from 2023, and Jennifer Reeder's Perpetrator from 2023. All of those coming to your stores within the next couple of months.
That is awesome. And I definitely agree. You do want Shudder.
Yeah, Shudder's great. And moving on to our next story. So Joel McHale has joined the cast of Scream 7, and he's going to play Sidney Prescott's husband. Joel McHale he's really big. He's more of a comedy actor. I really haven't seen him in anything serious, but some of the Scream movies are kind of not serious, especially this one, which has had so many issues getting made. Like they've been making this movie. They had cast issues to begin with. There was like a revolt against the director, so they had to change directors. And I want to say Alexa Ortega dropped out, or Jenna Ortega dropped out Wednesday. She dropped out of the movie, and like a few other ones dropped out. So yeah, it's been a while. They've been making it for a while, but ahead of its February 27, 2026 release date, Scream 7 further rounds out its cast, with Deadline reporting that Community's Joel McHale will be joining the slasher sequel as Mark Evans, the husband of final girl Sidney Prescott. McHale's Mark Evans takes the place of Sidney's previous husband, Patrick Dempsey's Detective Kincaid, introduced in 2000's Scream 3, who was previously reported as circling the role. Alongside Campbell, McHale joins returning co-stars Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers, Mason Gooding as Chad Meeks Martin, and new additions Isabel May, McKenna Grace, Sam Rechner, Celeste O'Connor, Asa German, and Anna Camp. I can honestly say I've never been the biggest fan of the Scream movies. And it's sad because that's like my generation. 1996 is when the first one came out. That's the year I graduated high school. And I didn't care for it.
I didn't either.
Like, I don't know why. I love the costume. I think the costume's great. It was just I think because it was a teenage horror movie in the 90s, maybe I can't really say why, because even I Know What You Did Last Summer, I hate that. I absolutely hate that movie.
I can agree so wholeheartedly. I have not watched those except for once when they first came out.
Yeah, and that's all I did too. Like I watched them and I was just like, eh. Like in the 90s, there was so much better. Like all the like Bride of Chucky came out in the 90s, which I will always pick Bride of Chucky over a lot of things.
I picked Chucky over most things too, especially when I was little.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing though. When it comes to slashers, though, the especially the major ones, I'm a Jason guy. I've always been a Jason Voorhees guy. Like in my car, I've got Jason Voorhees. I got Jason seat covers in the front of my car. I got Jason little cup holder things in the car. Like just a lot of my stuff is Jason, honestly.
That is awesome. My mother-in-law named her middle son after Jason and her youngest son after Michael.
Nice. I was named after a saint. My mother was very, very Catholic.
Okay. I'm
I'm
just
not.
happy you exist.
I'm not.
You're not happy you exist?
No. I'm not Catholic.
Okay. Well, that's fine.
I'm not really religious at all. Like today, even at the hospital, they asked me at the emergency room if I have a certain faith. Apparently in case something goes wrong, that I want them to know about. I'm like, nah, I'm good. But moving on, this is actually some pretty cool news. Terrifier 3 heads to Screambox this Valentine's Day. So if you guys want to watch a Christmas horror film on Valentine's Day, there you go. So Terrifier 3 may be a Christmas film, but Art the Clown is about to turn another holiday bloody when the sequel slasher hits Screambox on Valentine's Day, February 14th. Bloody Disgusting also reported that additionally on March 14th, Art attacked the dissection of Terrifier 3, a brand new behind-the-scenes documentary offering fans an insider's look into the making of Terrifier 3, will debut on Screambox. Screambox, for those who don't know, is another horror streaming service similar to Shudder. They just don't they're not as popular as Shudder. You can still find them on your Amazon Prime channels. You can find the Screambox. I think it's Screambox.com. They also have a lot of really cool movies in that to watch. So yeah, look into that too. But Bloody also teases that Terrifier 3's Screambox streaming release will include a new stunt titled Terrifier Art's Bloody Valentines. Starring David Howard Thornton as the maniacal Art the Clown and Lauren Lavera as Final Girl Sienna Shaw, Damien Leone's slasher sequel became the highest grossing film of the Terrifier franchise, beating Terrifier 2's similarly impressive $15 million gross by racking up almost $90 million at the global box office. It's also, at the time of writing, the highest grossing unrated film of all time. Yeah, I mean that's impressive, but it's not that hard to do when they don't let most unrated movies into theaters. But I think the movie companies and the movie theaters and that they knew what was there. But speaking of which, here in about 2 months now, Horror Hound is coming back to Ohio, to Sharonville, Ohio, the weekend of March 21st through the 23rd, and yours truly will be in attendance. Horror Hound is basically one of the bigger they're one of the bigger horror movie conventions out there. They have their own magazine that you can find in bookstores or online. But I say this because there's quite a few people from Terrifier that are going to be there. So I think I'll take this time because we're about 2 months away and they've got a good amount of their guest list. Friday, do you mind going through the guest list with me real quick?
I would love to.
For Horror Hound, how big of a metalhead are you?
Okay.
Do you like Slipknot?
Yes.
Corey Taylor is going to be in attendance. The lead singer of Slipknot, Stone Sour. I've met him a few times. He's actually a pretty cool dude. He does a lot of these. He's one of the headliners. He's actually one of the ones up top. He does always have a long line. Ty West, the director of X, Pearl, and Maxine. 3 movies I haven't seen yet, but I are on my list. He also directed House of the Devil, Innkeepers, which is actually a very good movie. Sacrament, The Roost, and In a Valley of Violence. He's one of those up and coming horror directors, especially because of the I think they called it the Pearl and Maxine series. But because of X and them movies I gotta see. I gotta watch these movies. But as I was saying, Damien Leone from the director of Terrifier. Of all 3 Terrifiers, he directed All Hallows Eve, The Ninth Circle, which is in All Hallows Eve, and Frankenstein versus the Mummy. David Howard Thornton, Art the Clown himself. He was also in The Mean One. You have Screamboat. I believe he's playing Steamboat Willie in Screamboat. Stream, The Dark Offerings. If I know better, they usually, when David Howard Thornton shows up, he does a photo op in costume.
Ooh.
So if you would like your picture taken with Art the Clown himself in costume, definitely check out Horror Hound or any horror movie convention coming towards you. They do a lot of conventions. I have his autograph, and I'm kicking myself because they gave us a free autograph because one of the ladies that works there loved the ferrets. They let us go up front, and David Howard Thornton gave us a free autograph, and instead of getting my freaking figure signed, I got a picture signed. So that's one of the things I kick myself about a lot. It's like I could have had him sign this figure that I just bought. Lauren Lavera, Sienna Shaw herself will be there. Terrifier 2 and 3. Life of Chuck, Not for Nothing, like a bunch of Iron Fist, bunch of stuff. But she's going to be well known as the final girl of the Terrifier series. That's probably what she'll be known as. Elliot Fulham, the little brother in the Terrifier, Jonathan in the Terrifier series. Spencer Sharness from Ice Nine Kills, the lead singer of Ice Nine Kills. Great band. I love Ice Nine Kills. We have Alexa Blair Robertson, who played Mia in Terrifier 3. I don't want to go through and say who she was, like who Mia is in the movie, in case people haven't seen it. Margaret Ann Florence plays Jessica. Kersey Fox, I believe it's Krsy Fox. Kersey Fox, or it could be Chrissy Fox. From Terrifier 3. She plays Jennifer. She was also in Underworld Evolution. Alicia Taylor, who I believe is Corey Taylor's wife. She is the founder and director of the band Cherry Bombs. We've got cool. Jane. I believe it is his wife, though. I've never met her. We got Jane Levi, from the remake of Evil Dead in 2013, Don't Breathe. She was in Shameless, The Toxic Avenger. I'm assuming that's the new one. Remember the TV show Suburgatory?
No.
she played like a nerdy girl in that. Castle Rock, Twin Peaks, Monster Trucks. She's getting her name well known out there. We have Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. Not a big Lamb of God fan myself. What were you gonna say, Jen?
I was just saying that was awesome.
Yeah, there's like when you go to the horror movie convention, there's also like almost always a lot of people from bands there in that. Like Pantera goes to it. Like the couple of guys from Pantera go a lot. And finally, the final one, who they've announced so far. They will announce more as we get closer. But Tony Revolori from Scream 6. He played Flash Thompson in the Spider-Man trilogy. He was in the new Willow, the Grand Budapest Hotel. But he's been a bunch of stuff. But they haven't announced. That's about all they've announced so far. They went on an announcing spree last month because of the Terrifier folks coming in and coming on. But that's who's coming so far. I'm excited. I always love Horror Hound.
It sounds amazing.
It is. It is a really good time. I wish they do more for the after party stuff. They have like a concert. Like the thing is it's in the convention stuff is in the convention center, and then you have to walk across the street to go to the after party stuff, or any of the filmings they have, like film screenings they have. They have like a film festival over there. There's a bar where they have karaoke, and then they have like a concert on Saturday night. Usually it's with a band I've never heard of. I think 2 years ago, I think they had, it was one of those Juggalo bands. I can't remember the name right now off the top of my head, but they had one of them over there. I'm not a big fan of that kind of music, so I ended up not going. But yeah, it's always a fun time. Another one that I like to go to is in Indianapolis, and it's Days of the Dead. They're like you can actually stay in the hotel, like that the convention is being held in, which makes it so much better if you get drunk. Where all you gotta do is ride an elevator up to your room versus trying to walk or get an Uber or a Lyft or something. I'm never going to say drive to your hotel. If you get drunk and drive to your hotel, you're an asshole.
Very much.
But that's one of my favorite things is being able to just go, like, even during the day, if you're not been drinking, you get tired, you can go upstairs, sit down for a few minutes in your room, take a nap if you really want to, go upstairs. Like if you buy a bunch of stuff and you don't have anything to carry it around in, bring it upstairs, drop it off in your room, head back down. Because that's the thing. When I go to the conventions, I don't go for the celebrities. I don't go for anything. I go because I want to buy movies. And I want to buy movies from independent directors that normally don't have any other option or any other outlet to release their movies or put their movies out than conventions.
And is always one of the best things. Finding movies that are really awesome that you're not going to find anywhere else.
Yes, definitely. That's 100% why I go. I mean, the celebrity walking around and talking and meeting the celebrities is fun. The filmings and the talks. I went to Weird Science a couple of years. I think it was last year, the year before. We went to, and they were doing like a big Weird Science reunion where they had like Andrew. God, what's that? And Andrew, I can't remember the guy. I'm drawing such a blank. But they had a lot of people from Weird Science up there. And let's bring it up. Anthony Michael Hall is who I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah, Anthony Michael Hall, Ian Michael Smith, those are the two nerds. They had one of the girlfriends or one of the girls that they ended up with at the end. One of the bullies was there because you're not going to get Robert Downey. Robert Downey Jr. played the other bully. You're not going to get him at a convention like this.
No.
They can't afford him. And then a few other people. Of course, you can't have Chet there because Chet was played by Bill Paxton. But it was fun because the guy who played the other bully apparently is still in contact with Robert Downey Jr. And he called Robert Downey Jr.'s phone on stage and went straight to voicemail. Which I thought was hilarious. I thought it was fun. So I'm looking for some paranormal news because that's really all the horror movie news that I'm seeing. Like nothing major.
I love all things paranormal.
I do as well. That's what I'm trying. I got the Coast to Coast site up here. Let's see if I can find something.
I like writing paranormal.
Yeah, there's really nothing. Like, there's videos and stuff, but I don't really want to put videos, especially because we're on YouTube. I don't want to put videos up here just because you know how sensitive they can be.
Yes.
Because like this one, security camera films ghostly anomaly at British Cricket Club.
You can always put a link to it in the Bloody Binge group for us to find.
Which I might start doing. I might probably share some of these because it's not a ghost. I'm looking at it now. It's not a ghost. It's an orb.
Because the Bloody Binge group can be anything you want it to be, or we can create a Shivers group if we wanted.
I did.
I just have to find the Shivers group. Okay, there is a Shivers group that I must find.
I thought I invited you to like it.
There's a very good possibility you have, but there are so many things that have went on.
Hold on, while we're here.
Like he was spilled all over my board, and now stupid things are happening. Hence why the weird sounds that I do apologize for.
I think I've already invited you. And everybody, at least everybody on my list. Why?
There we go. I think.
Did you find it?
Yep, I found it. Hey, and you put that picture up. Yay!
Yeah, it's my logo.
I'm so happy I made you happy.
I mean, if you look, that's the logo when I did Shivers.
And you even
hold on.
And on the other one, you have the other one I made you. So yeah, right, I'm so happy you like my stuff.
See, I even used it last. I used it last week.
Yes, I saw, and I told, and my kids were like, "Hey, that's cool," and I'm like, "I made that," and he liked it. Yay!
Well, you made the Bloody Binge one too.
Yes, and that's what I said earlier. I'm so happy you used the other one as well.
Yeah, I just got to find. I got to figure out what I want to do for the hardcore heels. What I want it to look like in that. I like what you had started, what you had showed me before, what you had started.
Yeah, I just made a mock-up to show you what I could direction we could go with it.
Yeah, and it looked great. It did look good.
But we can go any direction you want from there.
Let me look up one more thing real quick, and then we will probably just go ahead and take our break. I know it's not the most interesting because I wasn't planned out or anything, but I hope everybody's still enjoying what they're listening. What I have reported. Yeah. I'm not giving you money. Well, I did see this. Hold on. This one kind of made me laugh when I saw it. This is from Omaha, Nebraska. So Dunkin' dropped the donuts from its brand name years ago. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but they have. Everybody calls it just Dunkin' now. And now, at least across Nebraska, New Mexico, and some other states, it doesn't have donuts on the shelves either. Dunkin' stores in Omaha, Lincoln, and Grand. This whole story is from Nebraska, so that's probably why they're just listing a lot of Nebraska cities. Omaha, Lincoln, and Grand Island in Nebraska all had no donuts in their cases Thursday and Friday and put up signs on their doors and drive-through kiosks informing customers that the pastries were unavailable due to a manufacturing error. Some locations did offer munchkins or donut holes on Friday. Tyler Raker of Omaha stopped by Dunkin' in West Omaha early Friday after an overnight shift as a phlebotomist, seeking coffee and a chocolate cake donut. "What? No donuts?" she exclaimed when told the location had none. "That's tragic." The trip wasn't a total loss. She said she was more interested in the coffee. She was a little disappointed that she couldn't get a donut. Throughout Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the surrounding suburbs, store after store confirmed there is a donut drought. So yeah, like something happened where there was like some kind of manufacturing error, and a good portion of stores, especially out west, it seems, did not have donuts in their stores. But can I say, I don't know anybody who goes to Dunkin' for the donuts. Like,
I can
even
also say the last time I went for a particular cup of coffee.
Yes. And that's the only thing my wife goes. My wife goes there. She goes there to get her triple mocha frozen drink. I call it a milkshake. But she's like, it's frozen coffee. No, it's a freaking milkshake. Because it's weird. My wife doesn't like hot coffee. She loves cold coffee. I've never been the biggest coffee drinker. I'll drink it during the winter when it's cold out, but like during the summer when it starts getting hot, yeah, I'm not drinking coffee. Like maybe some cold coffee, but other than that, yeah. But yeah, I don't know anybody who goes to Dunkin' for anything else but coffee.
But when I did go, I didn't even see donuts. I saw a sign that said you could get donuts, but when we go to donuts, we go to this local shop.
Yeah. Well, and that's what they say here. We have a place called Bill's Donuts in Centerville that's supposed to be like the best donuts in the world, which I've tried them. It's got to be a Dayton thing. Just like the Cincinnati chili, it's like the skyline in that everybody talks about. It's okay, but at the end of the day, I've had better chili. I'll get them on the hot dogs. That's about it. I won't eat I'm not gonna. I won't even. I can't bring myself to eat the whole spaghetti or chili on spaghetti.
That's okay. I'm not gonna ask you to. I would find out if you like the cornbread, though.
I have not tried their cornbread.
No, I'm asking if you like cornbread with your chili.
Oh yeah, we make when I'm in a rush, I'll make like the Jiffy mix with it, like the Jiffy corn muffins and that with it. Making the whole on cornbread, I haven't done that yet.
Oh, I have. Well, at least I make my mom's version of cornbread, and my mother-in-law says it tastes so much like the Jiffy mix. She thought I'd just been cooking the Jiffy mix.
Okay, these. All right. I think that's gonna do it for our first segment. We've been going 54 minutes. I think it's time to go ahead and take our break. And then when we come back, Igor and the Lunatics.
That was an interesting choice you made.
Honestly, I watched the trailers and I figured we haven't done. Well, I called it Grindhouse at first. It's an exploitation movie, and it looked interesting. I haven't done exploitation or that style of movie on here yet, so I figured, oh, that's there. why don't we give this a shot? I had never seen it before today.
Okay.
So, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that when we come back. Again, we're gonna try. I'm gonna make an attempt to do this a different way this week because I didn't take as many notes as I normally do. We're not gonna go through a full deep dive as I normally do. We're gonna go through kind of a brief rundown of the movie, and we'll talk about that when we get back because no spoilers. The movie was interesting, as Friday said, but we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. Friday, do you have anything else before we go to break?
No, but I may be 4 minutes instead of 3, depending on what this child is doing.
That is perfectly fine. All right, guys, we'll see you in about 3 minutes.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite Steve's trying to say is that on Retro Reductopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brick.
You can listen to Retro Reductopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
And we're back. Welcome back, everybody, to the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. I am your host, Sewer Dweller. And we are coming to you live from Dayton, Ohio. Very snowy, very icy Dayton, Ohio right now. I learned that the hard way this morning, dislocating my finger.
It sucked. I'm betting.
It does. It does. Like, it's still numb. It's like it's just messing with me. I get to go see an orthopedic surgeon on Monday to make sure I didn't like mess it up any more than just dislocating, which I don't think I did. Like, I didn't feel any pain. That was the weirdest thing about it, is I didn't really feel any pain or anything. And I didn't fall too hard. I think it was all my weight going against it is what happened. But anyways, guys, Igor and the Lunatics, or should we say Paul and the Lunatics or something?
Sounds better.
Because, yeah. So let me bring up the information for this movie real quick. So the movie was made in 1985. It was shot and filmed on location in, where's the information? In Carmel, New York. The production company was produced by Troma. I think they just bought the rights like they like to do with a lot of movies. So this is technically a Troma movie. It was written by Jocelyn Beard, who there's a reason you've never seen her again. She did nothing else. Igor and the Lunatics is the only movie this woman wrote. Like, she doesn't really have an IMDb page outside of that. But it was written by Jocelyn Beard and W.J. Perlini, who also directed. Again, he's done nothing else. He directed 3 movies total, one of which is Igor and the Lunatics, and then a movie called Finding Candy in 2003 and Women of the Military in 2011. The movie stars Joseph Arrow as Tom Turner. Guess what he's been in? Guess what else he's been in? Nothing.
What?
Absolutely
Makes
nothing.
sense.
Mary Ann is played by Mary Ann Schatt. Guess what else she's been in?
Nothing?
Absolutely nothing. Joe Niola plays Igor. Which it kind of bothers me too, because it's Igor and the Lunatics is spelled with an I, but his name is spelled with a Y.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. That didn't make any sense.
Nothing. He's been in nothing else. TJ Glenn. He plays Paul / Byron. They call him like 2 different names. Looks like most of his credits, well, he's got a bunch of acting credits through 2020. Let's take a look. Igor and the Lunatics was his first one. He was on the Guiding Light TV series, soap opera, for 1 episode. Let's see if he's got anything else that sticks out. The Bug Creatures, Lord of the G-Strings, the female ship of the string. He has 3 roles in that movie. That's an old Skinamax movie. Spider Babe, Dr. Horror's Erotic House of Idiots, Satan Schoolgirl. So basically, Surrender Cinema. He worked for Surrender Cinema for about 2 years there. Street Fighter later years, played Vega. The worst horror movie ever made, the remake. Take a guess. Yeah, I knew who directed that. Also, a movie called Frankenstein the Rapist. There's a guy, and he lives in Texas now. His name is Bill Zabub.
Makes sense.
He, hardcore atheist. One of the first movies I saw of his was called Jesus Christ Serial Rapist. Even as somebody who's not very religious, I was offended by that.
Yes.
There's no reason to make that,
No.
But he makes a lot of these style movies, really low budget, really just like there's one out there, the Nazi Hunter one that he made, where it was literally just a random topless woman walking around fighting Nazis. She literally walked around the entire movie in her panties. But I have a funny story with him. And I tell him this story every time I see him. I tell him the story, and he doesn't remember because usually when you meet him at a convention, he's drunk off his ass. So one of the first conventions me and my ex-girlfriend went to was, I'd say, about 2006 in right in Hunt Valley, Maryland. It's a suburb of Baltimore. We went up to, it was a horror movie convention called Horror Find, and he was there, and he was literally just, he sees my girlfriend, pulls her to the side, and gives her a movie for free. And I told him this story one time, and he goes, and I told him the name of the movie, and he goes, well, I got better. Because he's a nice guy. Like, he's a nice guy, don't get me wrong. But the movie was called Ass Monster.
Wow.
And it's about, basically, he's the star of the movie, and he finds out how much money you can make making horror movies for conventions and that. And that people will pay, and his friends are talking to him, that people will pay like $20, $30 to see these movies a piece. So he decides to go make his own movie about a guy who just eats the asses off of women. Basically, it's a lot of topless women in thongs posing for the camera, shaking their ass for the camera, and getting killed. So he was in a couple of his movies, basically. Going How to Speak to a Scottish Person. And the last movie he was in, the superhero Commissioner Bureaucrat in 2020.
Okay.
He's got a lot of art credits on here, art department's credits on here, at least 4 of them, for something called The Adventures of the Super 7. Other than that, yeah, that's Paul / Byron, or whatever they want to call him. Joan Ellen Delaney plays Sharon. She's in the movie a whole 5 minutes maybe. 3 movies. The only one on here that stands out is she was in Spookies.
Okay.
And it's weird because she actually has a picture on her IMDb, like everybody else doesn't. Kathleen Dennehy plays Colette. Again, somebody who's not in the movie very long. Actually, kind of has a pretty long career. She was on Family Ties for 1 episode as Janie. She was on ER in 1 episode, Law and Order 1 episode. Like, she's in 1 episode of different things. Her last film was 3 Days with Dad in 2019. I'm not going to go through any more of these because they're basically small players. So this is what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to give you a gist of what's going on. So basically, the movie will start out with this woman and she's got a bag and she's running almost through like the work. It's kind of like the mechanic area of a farm or something like that. And she's running away, obviously, from something. She jumps into the back of an old box truck. And then you see 3 people show up chasing her. One of them is Paul / Bernard. He is the cult leader. This is where I kind of got a little confused because I'm like, wait, I thought it was Igor and the Lunatics. Why would Igor not be the cult leader?
I was confused too.
So basically, she's hiding in the back. He's calling for her. She sneaks out the side as he opens the back of the truck, so he doesn't see her. He literally takes 2 steps to the left, and there she is on the front of the fucking truck. He grabs her, pulls her to the side. They end up ripping her top open, like literally 2 minutes in the movie, and we've already got breasts. But other than that, then they put her on They fucking Snively whiplash her ass almost. They put her on a log, on like a log cutting splitter saw. And it almost goes all the way, and then they cut to the opening of a guy named Tom reading a letter, then staring at himself in the mirror for a second, and then pulling a gun out and doing the whole pointing at the gun like you see in comedy movies where they point the gun at the mirror and go, "Freeze, dirtbag." Like somebody trying to pretend to be a cop or something. So he leaves his, I guess, wife, girlfriend, whatever. They never really say a letter. This is Marianne. He leaves and she immediately wakes up and starts reading everything. We get a voiceover telling us about the cult and everything. He's dating Sharon at the time in this. Basically, he's a former member of this cult, which they never gave us the name of the cult either. Like, I barely got the names of the characters. So he becomes he basically he wants to escape the cult, but his girlfriend, wife, whatever at the time, Sharon, is pregnant with child. We have a scene where she's laying on like a kind of like by a lake, sunbathing, and he comes and tries to talk her to leave with him, and then tells her to meet him at the bar in town tomorrow so they could escape. And then Paul walks by, says something stupid to him, and basically goes and has sex with Sharon, which apparently leads to her getting pregnant. I thought she was already pregnant at the time, but apparently she was not. So basically, Sharon gets pregnant, has the kid in the cult. She goes to meet, or the next day before it's said she's pregnant or anything, she goes to meet Tom in town. And while Tom is waiting at the bar for her, apparently two of the other cultists walk by and they're like, "Hey, he's not allowed to be in town. He doesn't have permission to be here." And they go back and snitch on him, essentially. Paul and the rest of them show up just as Sharon is getting to the bar to meet with Tom. And Paul breaks out what I call his finishing move, because he did this so often. He bitch slaps her. I'm talking like full backhand slaps her, calls her a harlot, and throws her in the truck. Tom comes out. They start to kind of fight, but it's not really a fight. And Paul's like, "You know what? Fuck this. Fuck this guy. Get out of here. He's an unbeliever. Let him go." So what are your thoughts so far, Jen?
My thoughts generally were, why is this called Igor and the Lunatics if he's the cult leader? The insanity of the one guy that comes in, "Why did you use the machines? I could have cut her so clean."
Yeah, that's Igor.
Igor? Yeah,
that's
pretty
Igor.
Sure he was Igor. That guy's insane. He takes unbridled insanity and murder to a new level.
Yes. But here's the thing. We're, 12 minutes into the movie, and we still haven't met Igor.
Yeah.
Because in the whole voiceover now, he's talking about how the cult had to move different places and everything, and, what cults do. If you've ever studied cults, this is exactly what cults do. Your wife is no longer your wife. Your wife now belongs to the entire cult. So anybody who wants to have sex with her can go have sex with her. Your daughter, your little kids, yeah, only the cult leader is allowed to have sex with them, by the way. They didn't say that in this movie. I'm not going to put that out there, but most cults, that's what happens. All your money has to go to the cult. Any money you make, any money you have your house deeds, anything has to go to the cult. You're not allowed to contact your family outside the cult because guess what? You might leave the cult. So this is all stuff, normal, typical stuff from cults. And this is supposed to be a 1960s cult, so they're like hippies on top of that. Were you going to say something, Jen? I'm sorry.
No, it just, a sound from over here made it go bloop.
Okay, so basically now he starts talking about how paranoid Paul's getting and everything, and people are starting to also leave the cult. And we go back for some fucking reason. We go back and we get the same scene from the beginning. The exact same scene of the girl is trying to escape. So they do the whole thing again where she runs the wrong way. And then all of a sudden, we got context to this scene. She's begging him not to hurt her and all that good stuff. And really nothing of substance except she spits in Paul's face. And Paul fucking loses it. Like, he gets really mad about her spitting in his face. So they go, and they do the whole Snively Whiplash thing again, where they tie her to the board or tie her to the log on the splitter, and they start sending her through. Well, in this whole thing, Igor wakes up, and now we finally get to meet Igor about 13, 14, maybe 15 minutes into the movie. He starts freaking out because he doesn't want, he's basically starts screaming, no, not Sarah, not Sarah. The girl's name is Sarah, by the way. And he he's chained up for some reason. Do they tell us why he's chained up?
I don't think so.
They don't. They do not tell us why he's chained up. He breaks the chain with a rock and goes running all the way, and they finally, it just cuts back and forth to him running, screaming, Paul, no, not Sarah. So you're thinking he's in love with Sarah or that he, and all that stuff, and he's going to be upset if Paul kills Sarah. Well, then we finally get the part where that I wrote in the beginning of it. Why didn't we get to see the girl get split in half? Well, because they were going to show us the same fucking scene 15 minutes later, and now we get to see the girl cut in half. And it's obviously a dummy. But of course, she's laying on this thing the whole time topless.
Of course. Gotta have the breast scenes.
Well, you do, and I'm okay with it, but it's the same thing like the best wrestling analogy I can think of. Death matches. I enjoy a good death match. These are the crazy ass ones where they're hitting each other with like light tubes and barbed wire and things like that. But I want a reason for it. I don't want it to be just we're gonna beat the crap out of each other just because. I kind of want a reason why you're beating the crap out of each other, especially if you're that pissed off at each other that you want to hit somebody with a light tube.
I don't think they had a reason for the breasts at all anywhere in this movie.
They didn't. It was just to put them in there. And again, I'm fine because I've said it before. One of the conventions I went to, I went and sat down at a workshop where he was telling people about one of the directors there was teaching people how to make your own like independent movie and that. And he flat out said that, and especially in the 80s, if you didn't have breasts in your movie, the movie distributors wouldn't touch it. It's different now where there's a lot of horror, independent horror out there, and a lot of actually more mainstream horror because mainstream horror likes to hover around PG-13. But there's a lot of independent horror out there and that don't have any nudity in it whatsoever. But yeah, like back in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, nobody would touch your movie if you didn't have naked breasts in it. So Sarah's dead, and like the scene that Friday was just talking about, Igor comes around the corner mad, not because she's dead, but because he didn't get to do it. That's what he's upset about. He's mad because he didn't get to kill her. So now we're 19 minutes into the movie. We go to the state police, which I had to laugh because they had a screen door on the door to the state police department.
Yeah.
If that ain't some Mayberry shit. And apparently they have a warrant now to go after the hippies. That's what they called them. So the cop and one guy, and it's funny because they cut to the compound where he's holding his service, and he's telling them about the story of Abraham and Isaac. For those who do not know the story of Abraham and Isaac, it is the story where God tells Abraham to kill his own son to show that he loves him. And then just at the last possible second, God's like, "Hey, yo, dude, what are you doing? Don't actually do it." So they're in there, he's reading the Bible. He's reading from the Bible the story of Abraham and Isaac, and all of a sudden they start hearing the sirens and everything, and we almost have a Waco incident because the cultists all go running. And as they're running, random cops are catching them, beating the shit out of them, and throwing them in the back of cars, including Sharon, who tries to escape, tries to hit one of the deputies on the head with a giant stick, gets arrested, and leaves her baby in the middle of the woods.
I couldn't do that.
And I get that. I understand that. I mean, I don't blame you. I don't blame anybody for that. Paul gives himself up, and then we see Hawk, who finds the baby. Fast forward, we have, I guess, 16 years later, Bernard, Paul, and Igor have gotten out of prison because Igor's ass doesn't belong in a mental institute, apparently. And they swear revenge on the town, on the city that arrested them. So as they're driving down the road, they pick up a hitchhiker. I'm not going to go into the boring details. Needless to say, they kill her. But guess what they do before they kill her? They take her top off.
Because, yes, we need to see them.
Yes. So Igor basically does an operation on her, cuts her heart out, takes some pictures, wants to stop and have them develop, and then they just throw her body, what's left of her body, on the side of the road. Then we cut to, I believe it's Sharon walking through the woods and finds like a Blair Witch style figure, like tied with the sticks and that. Not exactly the Blair Witch one, but it's close enough.
Yes.
And she finds the old farmhouse. And they go chasing after her. I missed this whole scene. I'm like going through on the bottom, just looking at what's playing. It's a whole bar scene, and she offers to take her friends back to her house to get stoned. Cut over to Sharon. Sharon is now a prostitute. She's on this side, and like she gets passed over a couple of times until finally Tom, her ex-boyfriend from the cult, is walking by and sees her and gets excited to see her, and then he immediately asks, "Where's the boy? Where's his son?" She doesn't want to answer him. She's trying to put him off. She says, I'll call you. You don't have his number. You're staying at the Regency, right? How do you know that?
Good
basically, sorry.
Good question. How does she know this?
So then we cut to, I guess she's in a hotel room or somewhere, and she's watching video of Tom talk about the cult. And while she's doing this, Bernard, I believe, walks in. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between Bernard and Paul sometimes.
Yes.
and just looks at her. That might not. I think that's Bernard. I can't freaking tell who it is. But she goes into the bathroom. Then we cut to Tom, who gets a package from Sharon, and it's supposed to be a tape. We don't actually get to hear the tape. If we did, it was so pointless that yeah, that's why. Because Paul gets it. Paul intercepts the tape. I'm sorry. And we get a scene of Sharon screaming. Paul is breaking down this really shitty made door. But he still has problems breaking it down. And essentially, Sharon is killed. Yes, Sharon's dead now. Then we cut over to Marianne again for some reason. And there's a young boy in her apartment going through paperwork. She catches him, yells at him, chases him down. He hurts his ankle somehow. She decides, even though there's a cop car behind her, she decides to bring him back to her apartment to try to help him with his ankle. And he insists he doesn't need a doctor. He needs Hawk. She decides, yeah, I'm going to leave this random stranger who just broke into my house, by the way, in my house by himself while I go get this random person named Hawk. So she drives out. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That is another why?
Yeah, there's a lot of whys in this movie. So she goes and fetches Hawk, tells him that the boy is hurt. She basically offers to give him a ride, and he just stares at her and keeps walking. I'm what? Okay. She's literally like, hey, I'm going to get in the car. I'm going to take you straight to them. It'll take a whole 10 minutes. Nope, I'd rather walk for 2 hours. Cut back to the apartment, and he's still laying on the couch sleeping. She basically takes care of him until finally Hawk decides to show his ass up. Hawk picks the boy up off the couch and literally carries him down the stairs. Past another woman who probably was just like, what? While they're out there, they talk about him or something. Then we cut to someone named Colette, who I guess is an art student. She's just sitting there painting she's painting something different now. When Paul decides to walk up, scares her, and then Igor's there. Igor's crazy ass has an ice pick. So they go chasing. I think this is Bernard. Bernard has a mustache. I'm still not 100% sure, but we have a little small chase scene before she picks up a crowbar to defend herself, but somehow Igor drops down and stabs her right in the heart with the ice pick. And then finally, Paul shows up and hits her in the stomach with a machete. Colette is dead for no reason. Now, at the same time, for some reason, there's all of a sudden a little boy. Like, this kid came out of nowhere. There is no reason for this kid to even be in the movie. He gets killed. Jen, do you remember why this kid was in the movie?
I've watched it twice and I couldn't figure out a whole lot of why certain things happened.
So Marianne's out in the woods and they find blood. I guess she sees Colette or something, but she goes to the police crying that they killed Colette and everything. They tell her to fuck off. That the cop basically tells her, "I fell for this shit at Halloween. I'm not going to fall for it now." She goes running and she ends up pretty much getting hit by Tom in his car. Tom chases her down to make sure she's okay. She's saying that someone's dead, blah, blah, blah. Tom says he knows who did it. Wait, she didn't even tell you who's dead, where they're dead, why they're... But you know who did it.
Yeah.
So they go out into the woods. And basically just look around and walk away. And essentially the rest of the movie, I don't even know if I really want to go down through the rest of the movie. It's essentially them hiding from, there's random people, two random cops that discover all the bloody scenes. They go to hide in Sharon's apartment, Marianne's apartment, I'm sorry. Tom meets the boy, and the boy, of course, is his son. Hawk has been taking care of him for the 16 years. Because apparently, nobody could go say, Tom, hey, look, got your kid. So Tom goes looking around the apartment to make sure no one's there. Then they decide to leave. Hawk and him decide to go basically chase down and kill Paul, Igor, and Bernard on their own. Leaving Marianne and the kid in the house, the apartment by themselves. But Marianne does have a gun. So, of course, who naturally shows up but Igor? I think it was Igor. Give me a second. Like, I've got the movie running in silent so I can remember some of these parts. And, of course, it's Tubi, so there's an ad.
Of course there is. Out of nowhere, because there has to be.
It's a free service. That's what you get with a free service. Who shows up? Yeah, it's Igor. Who gets, I believe he gets cleaved in the head. No, he gets knocked out. This is where he gets knocked out. They go running. Then we cut to the compound where Tom, for some reason, has fucking blood prints, like marks on his face. Where the hell did the blood marks come from?
Good question.
Like, he's got like 3 stripes down his face, like somebody put their hand in blood and rubbed it on his... What? He meets up with Paul. They have a face-off. Absolutely nothing happens. They go running. Hold on. Basically, Marianne and the kids show up all of a sudden. Paul has the gun, and he's walking Tom out. And Marianne shoots him. She shoots Paul. Tom goes running. And then Bernard and Igor go chasing. So now it's them just running around the compound. Tom's yelling at her for bringing him back. He's got a pipe now. Igor eventually shows up with Marianne and the kid, and she cleaves him right in the fucking head. Like, what should have cracked his head wide open and killed him instantly? Does it kill him instantly?
No.
No, because he comes crawling back at them, and he gets the Hawk ends up shooting Igor in the eye or in the back of the head with the crossbow. Paul meets up with the kid and for some reason kills the kid. Now, then after that, basically, we get a fight between Hawk and Paul. Paul kills Hawk with a pitchfork, stabs him right in the stomach. Then we get a little bit of a fight scene between Tom and Paul. Marianne shows up and ends up shooting Paul in the stomach with a crossbow. He basically pulls it out and goes walking at her, and then he gets kind of like clubbed in the back of the head by Tom, who knocks him out. Fast forward. They're basically the cops like, hey, thank you for doing the dirty work for us, blah, blah, blah. We fast forward to her finished reading the letter. She gets out of bed, walks out onto a landing, and sees Tom's dead body behind the sofa. So yes, this whole time when she's reading the letter, reading the diary, all this stuff, Tom's dead. Then we hear on the news that, she picks up a newspaper and it says mass murderer escape. Byron, Paul Byron escapes. Then it shows the ambulance where he's killed all the orderlies and nurses or whatever was in there, and he's escaped. Then we see fucking Igor is somehow still alive. Igor, who's been cleaved in the head, like literally cleaved halfway through his head. Half his brain would have been cut in half, but no, he's still alive after that. Shot in the back of the head through the eye with a crossbow. Nope, didn't kill him. He's threatening her. He's threatening Marianne. She's got like one of those little like hot dog forks. Tom stands up and picks up a fire poker. Igor looks at his little itty-bitty cleaver, throws it down, and pulls out the knife he had at the beginning of the movie and says he's going to cut him. And then apparently gets shot or killed or something. They don't really show what happened to Igor. Then we go to this couple who are at a hibachi grill, and they look up, and guess who the hibachi chef is?
Igor.
It's Igor. He smiles and laughs. Roll credits. This fucking movie is over. An hour and 19 minutes. Go ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
I said, thank God it was done.
Yeah. An hour and 19 minutes this movie is. Fucking nothing happens. So as I was saying, a lot of people in this movie didn't go on to do too much. Let's see. On IMDb, it is rated 3.1 out of 10. Let's look at some user reviews. One of Troma's worst. Lame, low budget, incoherent horror flick about a small murderous hippie religious cult. This person apparently has backstory on Igor because he played Felix, one of the hippies, in the opening shots. So he writes that the film was originally titled Like Father, and this was my first time acting in a movie. This scene I was in was directed by Brandon Faulkner from Spookies, as were most of the action and horror sequences. Funny he doesn't get a credit. In the film, Brendan is the goofy, bearded deputy, and director Tom Doran is his partner. Many of the actors that appeared in Igor also appeared in Spookies because Peter Dane and Joan Ellen Delaney. The buzzsaw scene was filmed at Schultz's Cider Mill in Brewster, New York, as were all the scenes from the never-released Killer Dead, also directed by Faulkner and Duran. So apparently they filmed 2 movies there at the same time. Igor and the Lunatics may be the one film in history where the girl is cut in half by a buzzsaw without being rescued by the hero in the nick of time. And he might have a point there. A plastic torso filled with fake blood and guts was used for the girl to be cut in half. When it came time to shoot the gag, the torso lurched upwards when the buzzsaw hit it, making it chillingly look realistic. Okay, that didn't give us any backstory on Igor. I want to see some. I'm trying to find the good reviews. See who's rated this 10 stars. Absolutely nobody. That is hilarious. The highest review this movie's gotten, Jen, is 7 stars.
Okay. It may not have any good ones.
Oh, they have plenty. Like 7 stars is over 5, so that's above like average.
Yeah, I mean it may not have like a 10-star at all, or
yeah, it doesn't.
Like that.
It at least here on IMDb, it does not. Let's see if we can get some trivia, and then we'll get into our reviews. The tagline is still crazy after all these years. Let's see, do we have any trivia? We do not have trivia.
Alrighty.
So, Jen, what are your thoughts on the movie?
I'm glad that I don't have to watch it again for anything.
Until you guys decide to do it on Tomb of the Terrible.
I don't know if I'm going to list it. I don't know if he's already listed it, Uncle Necro. Yeah, the movie didn't go anywhere. The plot was, I could not figure out where the plot was. And I like it when movies have plot.
Yeah, I think we all do.
I tried my best both times to figure it out, and I end up scheduling stuff while I'm trying to watch it for other authors because I'm just like, I don't want to watch this anymore. So yeah.
All right, Jen. So out of hippie cultists, out of 5 hippie cultists, how many stars do you give it? What
1.
do you rate it? 1?
I'll give
one
it
hippie cultist.
Yeah.
I almost have to agree with you if I didn't already give Amityville Thanksgiving a 1 star.
I can give both 1 star. I can give this one half a hippie cultist.
Yes.
At one point, we've given movies negative because it's like, what? Why? How? Are you sure you made a movie?
They tried.
Because did you see Denno's Land of Fate?
Oh, yeah. I've seen that with Mystery Science Theater and with the regular Manos. It's one of the worst movies known to man. Like, it's on everybody's worst movie list.
So, yeah, it can be negative. So,
if you really want one worse than that, do Plan 9 from Outer Space. Which is universally agreed upon that is probably the worst movie known to man. But I have to agree with you. There's nothing here.
Yeah.
There's nothing here.
Nearly makes
I
me want to
passed
listen
out.
to Foregone Poetry.
I passed out 3 times watching this movie. Like, just because nothing was happening. The backstory, the story is so confusing. Because they keep calling the leader, they keep calling Paul 2 different names. What's the point of that? They keep calling him 2 different names. The pointlessness of the scene twice. This movie could have probably been an hour long if they hadn't done the same scene twice. And
Very
I am
true.
definitely not a... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Very true.
And I am definitely not a fan of somebody who of people who drag movies out purposely. We have done a few of those on here, especially like Psycho Santa. If you watch Psycho Santa, it is so obvious that they're just dragging the shit out. Final segment, they're just walking in the woods for almost 8 minutes. There's just so much wrong with this movie. Like, they don't explain why they went and killed Colette. Or they don't even explain who the young boy was. They don't explain who the hitchhiker was and why they killed her. Just death for the sake of death, apparently. Which, again, I'm not going to fault that, because that's one of the reasons I like Jason X, is because they introduce people just to die. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to basically put random shit in the movie just to make it longer, no, I'm out. I can't do that. And I just... Yeah, I couldn't follow. I couldn't follow anything of this movie. So I'm right there. I'm going to give it 1.5. I'm going to give it 1.5 hippie cultists, just because I don't want to put it on the same level as Amityville Thanksgiving. Probably go lower than that. I'll probably go 1.25 hippie cultists, because Amityville Thanksgiving is still the worst movie I've ever seen. But yeah, it's an 80s horror movie, and there was so much good 80s horror going on at the time. This was unnecessary. Like, I don't even know why you call it, like we said before, I don't know why you call it Igor and the cultists when Igor and the Lunatics, when Igor's not even the leader of the cult. Like, that already put up a red flag to me. It's like 15 minutes into the fucking movie, we still don't have Igor. So that's going to wrap it up, though, for this week. Next week, we have... I should go ahead and announce it now. We have Killer Karaoke for next week. We're going all the way to Thailand for a movie. The trailer to this movie, again, this is a movie I have not seen. The trailer of the movie looks just ridiculous. The original, if you want to look it up on IMDb, it's not going to be under Killer Karaoke. It is going to be under Premika. Again, this is a movie that was filmed and released in Thailand. I am going to kill these names next week. Like, these are pretty... Yeah. There's no way I'm going to be able to say these names correctly. But it was released in Thailand in 2017. And like I said, the trailer looks crazy. So next week, Killer Karaoke. The week after that, we're doing House Squatch from the Polonia Brothers. We already did one of their movies. We did. They're the team that made the Sharkula. So we'll be doing them the week after that, and then come February, I know I've already listed. I'm trying to bring my list up. Come February, we have 3 movies picked out because there are 4 Fridays in February. One of them is going to be Valentine's weekend. We're going to do romantic serial killers, aka serial killing couples, is what we're going to do for Shivers. We're going to talk about a few of those. But besides that, for the month, we have Sorceress, we have Sweatshop, and then finally, because Mardi Gras is in February, of course, we're going to do Mardi Gras Massacre. All coming up next month. Killer Karaoke next week. House Squatch after that. Jen, do we have anything coming up next week for your shows?
Later tonight, we have the episode on Unprinted Pages where we get to talk to Angel, Nix, and LD Wolsor / Mina Sky. And we get to find out about their different book characters and other things about them. And then next week, I think we have Corpse Garden Chronicles. I'm not sure when we're going to bring back Tomb of the Terrible or D&D.
Yeah, we're still on the fence about wrestling too, because I know Raz, we haven't had a chance to talk to Raz about it yet. I want to get Hardcore Heels going again, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I'll do it on the Owl Light or anywhere else, because I know we already have a wrestling show on the Owl Light. Of doing a wrestling show where with a more of a focus on indie wrestling in that, because we already cover Raw. I'm not going to cover AEW. I am not a fan of AEW. I don't like what they do. But indie wrestling, I do like me some indie wrestling and stuff like that. So I was thinking about doing something like that. But we do want to bring back Hardcore Heels because we still got to do the first 3 episodes of Monday Night Raw. Because those are 3 very important. 3 very, one of the first really important storylines occurs on the 3rd episode of Monday Night Raw, where you have the Loser Leaves Town match between Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair. So we want to talk about those. I got other older shows I'd like to start talking about. So it's just something I got to talk to Raz and Matt about, to figure out when we're going to do these.
I would love to have the independent wrestling show somewhere on this network, because I think we have room for all the wrestling.
We'll talk about it offline. We'll see what's going on with it. Like I said, I got to plan it out still and everything, how I want to do it and that. But something I've been thinking about in the past couple of days, especially with we got new MLW champion. We've got stuff going on in New Japan, which I don't follow New Japan very closely, but there's stuff going on over there. There's stuff going on, like so many indies out there right now. They're starting to build back the independence after a certain company went and killed it by signing all the talent at once. But we'll talk about that later. I'm probably going to get hate mail for that one. But Jen, where can we find you?
I'm on the Owlite Network. I'm on Fake Horror Publishing. I'm on Friday with the Library in the Blue Box. And if you actually would like to read any of the stuff I've written, please find me under Jennifer Elliott under my author page.
On Facebook?
Yes.
Anywhere else, or is that all?
I have a link tree somewhere and you can find me anywhere on there.
Very good, very good. You guys, as always, you can find me anywhere that the Bloody Binge at the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast, on Facebook, on the Facebook groups, on the on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and on YouTube. I don't think after Sunday there's a TikTok anymore. From the sound of it, because it looks like the Supreme Court did hold up that they're going to ban that. TikTok either sells or it's banned. I know I saw somewhere someone was posting that Mr. Beast said he bought it, but we'll see if that's true or not. But you can also find me on Twitch at SewerDweller78. Again, haven't played much over there. Don't know how much I'm going to be playing with my finger being completely jacked up right now and still numb. Like this is still numb.
You might not get the feeling back until they've reset it, and then it's going to hurt like a mofo.
Oh, they've already reset it. They reset it. I went to the hospital, and they put this stuff in me. This numbing agent.
Yeah.
And it numbed my whole arm for them to set it, so I didn't give me any pain.
And it still hasn't worn off?
It hasn't worn off. Now the guy said it was going to take like 8 or so hours, and it's been a little over 8 hours, but it's like just annoying, is what it is.
Ow.
I have to go see, like I said, I have to go see the surgeon on Monday to make sure that there's no nerve damage or anything. But it almost feels like your arm going to sleep, kind of, you know? So I think the medicine just needs to wear off. But as I said, everywhere. You can also find me every Friday here on the Owl Light Network for the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast and for Shivers. Like I said, next month we are doing romantic, I guess, serial killing couples. I might have to do that a day early because I will be working Hell's Dungeon. I have already committed to doing that. I will be working Hell's Dungeon on the 14th and 15th for their Valentine's haunt. I do not know if I'll be Cupid yet or not, though. Raz has not told me. Yeah, Raz hasn't told me what he wants me to be. If I'm doing a different character or I'm going to be Cupid, which I got to get with him because I got to buy a couple of things for Cupid. I want to add a couple of things to it.
And I want pictures.
Oh, there'll be pictures. Fat guy in a pink leotard, you can't really not get pictures.
Yeah, but I'd happily, you and your pink leotard as any character, I'd happily say, yeah, I know this guy in front of the president on live TV. So yeah, unlike your kids.
Yeah, my kids won't let me do it. Won't let me drive them to school in costume. They're fine with Coney. They don't want Cupid driving them to school.
I'll take any.
But
yeah.
But all right, guys, we'll see you next week with Killer Karaoke. Be good to each other, and as always, make sure you keep watching. Oh, she didn't. It's not pinned. The end stream is not pinned up there. Make sure you keep watching horror. Good night, everybody.